Cops regret stopping old truck. 1 hour later, a 4-star general steps out of a black SUV. The morning sun had barely crested the horizon, casting a soft golden glow over Interstate 84 as 2 Idaho state troopers sipped coffee in their cruiser. It was the kind of still, quiet morning that made even the hum of passing trucks feel like background music. Officer Maddox, a 15-year veteran with a stern face and silver in his beard, sat beside rookie Officer Jenkins, fresh out of the academy and still trying to find his footing. "Keep your eyes sharp," Maddox said, pointing his cup toward an old, rust-covered pickup crawling along the highway shoulder. It had no plates. The tail light dangled by a wire, and its exhaust puffed blue smoke like a steam train. Jenkins squinted. "Looks like it's from another century. Or another planet," Maddox muttered. "Let's light it up." The cruiser eased onto the road and tailed the old truck for a few seconds before flashing its lights. The truck, as if by instinct rather than functioning signals, slowed and pulled to the gravelly shoulder. Maddox and Jenkins stepped out, hands near their belts, posture assertive. The truck's door creaked open. Out stepped an elderly man with weather-beaten hands, his flannel shirt buttoned to the top despite the heat. He looked about 70, maybe older, with a long white beard and a slow limp. "Morning, officers," the man said, his voice gravelly yet calm. "License and registration?" Maddox asked, his tone clipped. The old man nodded, moving carefully to the passenger side to retrieve a leather wallet. "I know she's not much to look at," he said, glancing at the truck. "But she's still got heart." Jenkins took the papers, eyeing the name, Franklin J. Hayes. "This registration is expired. And the vehicle's unfit for the road," Maddox said. "I understand," Hayes said. "Just trying to get into Boise. Just need a couple more miles." "For what?" Jenkins asked. Hayes hesitated. "A funeral." Maddox arched an eyebrow. "Yours?" Hayes chuckled, though the sound came from a deeper, heavier place. "No, sir. Someone I made a promise to, long ago." Something about the way he said it, quiet but sure, made Jenkins lower his guard a bit. "You okay, Mr. Hayes?" "I'm fine," he said. "But I've got to be there by noon. It's important." Maddox didn't budge. "We can't let this truck go any further. It's a hazard. You'll need a tow." "But Hayes started, then stopped. His shoulders slumped. "I understand." They waited for the tow truck. Jenkins sat beside Hayes on the grass. "Who was the funeral for?" "An old friend," he said. "Name was Tom. We served together in Vietnam. Promised each other that if one went first, the other would make sure we got the flag folded right and the bugle played slow." Jenkins said nothing. "He passed last week," Hayes added. "Didn't have family. Never married. Just me and him, a couple of ghosts from a war most people forgot." The silence after that was long. When the tow truck arrived, Hayes thanked both officers, even shook their hands. Jenkins offered to call him a ride, but Hayes declined. "I got this," he said. The old man walked down the side of the road alone, sun overhead and time ticking. An hour later, the black SUV came. It pulled into the state trooper station, sleek, armored, government issue. The door opened, and out stepped a tall, broad-shouldered man in full dress uniform. Stars glittered on his collar, 4 of them. The kind of rank that silenced rooms. He walked with quiet power, the kind that turned heads and tightened stomachs. "Who's in charge here?" he asked. Maddox, who'd returned from patrol, stood up. "That'd be me. Officer Maddox." The general walked up and extended a hand. "General Henry Thomas. I believe you pulled over a man named Franklin Hayes this morning." "Yes, sir," Maddox said, confused. "Truck was falling apart. We had it towed. He said he was going to a funeral." "My funeral," the general said. Maddox blinked. sir. Thomas sighed. Tom wasn't just Franklin's friend. He was my brother. My blood. And Franklin? He was the only man left who knew him like I did. We served in the same platoon. I owe him more than I can say. I didn't know, Maddox said, his voice faltering. No reason you would've, Thomas said. But Franklin is a man of his word. If he promised to stand at my brother's service, then there's no force on earth that should have stopped him. Not even you. Maddox's mouth went dry. Where is he now? He walked off, Jenkins said, stepping forward. Said he'd make it on foot. Tow took his truck an hour ago. The general turned to his aide. Find him. 15 minutes later, a military convoy peeled out of the parking lot, led by the general's SUV. 2 black cars, 1 medic vehicle, and a flag-draped van. They found Franklin 2 miles down the road, collapsed from exhaustion on the edge of a sunflower field. He woke up in the back seat of the general's SUV, a bottle of water in one hand, a blanket over his legs. I was close, he muttered. You made it, the general said. You'll ride with me. The funeral was held at a quiet veteran cemetery on the edge of town. A modest affair, 20 people at most. Franklin stood beside the casket, eyes red, posture proud. The general stayed near him the entire time. When the bugle played taps, Franklin's shoulders shook for the first time. A Marine handed him the folded flag. He turned to give it to General Thomas. But the general stepped back. It belongs to you, he said softly. You were his family, too. Franklin clutched the flag to his chest, tears streaming down his face. Back at the station, Maddox sat in silence, watching the ceremony live-streamed from a body cam. Jenkins, beside him, said nothing for a long time. We stopped a hero, Jenkins finally said. Maddox nodded slowly. No. We delayed him. There's a difference. They didn't say anything else for a while. A week later, a letter arrived at the station. Dear Officers Maddox and Jenkins. I want to thank you both. I know that morning didn't go as any of us planned. But because of you, a phone call was made. A general showed up. A soldier got the burial he deserved. And I got to keep my promise. Sometimes a detour leads you right where you need to be. With respect. Franklin J. Hayes. Attached was a photograph, 3 young men in uniform, arms around each other, grinning at a sun-soaked base in 1969. On the back, one line was scrawled in fading ink. Brothers, not by blood, but by battle. Maddox framed the photo and hung it in the station hallway. Every officer who passed it read the inscription. Every recruit asked about it. And every time, Maddox or Jenkins told the story, not of a traffic stop, but of a man with a promise, a general with humility, and a funeral that taught them something deeper than any academy ever could. They learned that heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they drive rusted trucks down forgotten roads, holding on to promises, 1 mile at a time.